Hi, everybody. Like you just heard, my name is Jessica Hutchinson, and I am the VP of Product Marketing at Paddle. For those of you that have not been to our booth yet, we're in Hangar West, or if you're not familiar with Paddle, we have helped over 4,000 customers, 4,000 digital product customers operate and grow automatically. And we fundamentally believe that SaaS is born global. But I'm going to share a little bit more about my Paddle story later on in our presentation. Today, what I want to talk about is driving growth from within, specifically around what that means within a multi-product strategy and what product marketing's influence is on that. So what we're going to cover today is what is multi-product, why it matters, when to do it, and then some key considerations, practical steps, and our real-world example of kind of what that looks like for us. So let's get started. So first, I want to just quickly set the stage on multi-product. I think this is really easy to kind of cover. A multi-product approach is when you have multiple distinct products, and they're all unified under one brand, organization, portfolio. But there is something else that you want to consider about that. You think about the why multi-product and kind of what is the intent? Why are you thinking about that? And there's a few different kind of strategies or intent signals to think about there. One can be, are you trying to protect pricing? So protecting that core offering. So sort of essentially building a fence around it. Two, are you really thinking about are you really thinking about different ways that you can build other products to move into that core product via other product on-ramps? Or three, is it just revenue diversification? Do you have potentially a product that could potentially be subject to competitive or economic pressures of a single supply and demand scenario? So why multi-product? And actually, with this graphic, I should say, really, why expansion revenue, right? So generally what we see is that companies that grow fast are deriving a good chunk of their revenue, a good portion of their revenue through existing customers. And they're doing that via upsell, or they're doing that by selling other products to them. And that expansion revenue comes at a lower cost. And that lower cost is allowing you to be more efficient as a business. And that's a big topic right now, being efficient in a business, or business efficiency. The other thing is that as you think about expansion revenue, you think about that, you're increasing your LTV, your lifetime total value. And what that's going to do is it's going to help improve your LTV to CAC, customer acquisition cost ratio. Again, thinking about that, you have customers. Your customers already know who you are. And it's a lot easier to talk to those customers and sell to those customers than it is to acquire new customers via sales and marketing. And the other thing to think about here, just as a quick data point, is thinking about upsell. So you could either upsell or sell upsell plans, or in cross-sell across multiple products. Multi-product is generally easier. I pulled a metric out of some of our profit well data that I had seen in it, and what it says is only 25% of public single product software companies were able to generate greater than 20% of their revenue from outside their core offering. So how do you do it? Well, if you're small, stay focused on finding your core value prop and really identifying what those growth levers are. Single product companies grow faster below 10 million AAR, but you're not going to get from 10 million to 100 million AAR just on one product. But if you are below 10 million AAR, think about your core product and think about ways that you can create an add-on, or you can create maybe an enhancement to kind of that core offering that a subset of your customers are willing to pay a lot for. If you're above 10 million AER, it is something to think about. It's considering kind of that multi-product scenario. But you will need to think about multi-product by the time you hit 100 million AER. And it's hard. I can speak from experience here. So one of the things that you have to really think about here is really ensuring that seamless customer, consistent user experience across the products. And that can be difficult. You have to be thinking about what that looks like, not only individually, but what does that look like across the portfolio itself as well. Achieving product market fit, that's already hard for one product. So when you do that across multiple products, you're adding a whole other layer of complexity. And each product, it needs to be able to address a specific market need, but it also needs to be able to demonstrate its value independently. One of the big considerations here too, when you want to think about going multi-product, is really how you should segment your teams. And when I mean that, it's more than just a strategy of going multi-product. There are a lot of considerations to take here when you think about actually how to think about this across all of your teams. Product, engineering, sales, marketing, customer success. The other thing, though, is it's more than just the teams. How does this impact budget allocation? How does this impact decision matrices? So there's a lot of things to really think about when you think about kind of resource allocation and prioritization, and really how that all is going to work. So, okay, I am getting into product marketing, I promise. How does that all fit into all of this? I set the stage for all of these things. Product marketing is really, I like to think of it as, it's the voice of the customer. It is our job as product marketers to really understand the pain points of our customers, really understand what they need, what they want, their outcome, what their perceived outcome should be, what they think the value is. And it's our job to be able to take that and craft effective messaging from it. Something that can work across one product or multiple products. The other thing product marketing does do is we do work a lot with our customer teams, whether that's customer marketing, customer success, really to understand how are we educating our customers, how are you onboarding your customers. And you really want to understand the behavior of the customers you have. Really, they're sort of kind of your most precious resource if you think about it in terms of what you're trying to get and what you're trying to learn from. And from that, product marketing plays a big role in really trying to identify how do these products work together? What does that fit look like? What does the TAM look like? What does it look like across one of these individually? Does it change across both? These are all questions that you need to be thinking about, and product marketing serves that purpose. I put this quick graph together. I don't know how well you can see it, actually. It's just really to show you sort of where product marketing sits within kind of this world here, sort of right in the middle. And I like to think of product marketing as really setting the context, right? They're really the ones that are there talking across all of these teams and making sure that all of these teams are aligned. All of these teams are talking and they have the context. So really thinking about it as that bridge across all of these, a lot of these teams. So along with doing that, we're the storytellers, we're helping our broader marketing team really think about these different strategies that we can use and try when we're thinking about our multi-product approach. So considerations. You need to know and understand your ICP across the portfolio. I know this seems like such a simple, duh, but sometimes the obvious thing is the thing you need to make sure is stated. You need to do this before. Before you start thinking about this, you need to understand what that looks like. And you need to be able to have an effective way to tell your company's story, both within the company, within the brand itself, but also how do these products support that? How does that support your positioning? How do they all fit together? What does that look like? You need to develop a naming framework. Again, this is something that when you think about products, and you think about adding a product, that it has to make sense across the portfolio, across your products. It has to feel like it belongs together. They're part of something. At Paddle, we've done this through a framework of really trying to identify our challenges. What's the challenges we have? What are our objectives? What are we trying to do? And then really, what are our guiding principles when we think about this so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we introduce a product or we need to name a product. And we've actually applied this framework to our own selves when we've introduced some of our new products recently to make sure that they all do align and feel like they're part of something. Be considerate of the time that's allotted across your portfolio. Not all products are equal. I think that sometimes there's some hard choice points to make there, and you have to be really thinking about how that impacts not only your organization and the priorities there, but also the strategies themselves that you're trying to accomplish through through your marketing. Cross-functional alignment and on directions and priorities. Everybody needs to be aligned. Otherwise, you're running in different directions. Allows for clear focus. It's super important. It's one of the big rules of product marketing, actually. I think, and at Paddle, we do that. And you need to be okay with testing multiple approaches. We test things. We test messaging all the time across our website, across emails, across a lot of various things. We test it with events. We test it on talk tracks. And we try to take that and really use that feedback and really learn from it. Not only learn from it from marketing, but really learn from it across all of our teams and really try to disseminate that across our teams. So don't be afraid to do that. And it's going to take time. I promise I'm almost done here. 10 minutes is hard. So I wanted to kind of go through just real briefly just our multi-product journey, just to give you an idea of kind of what this story could look like. So at Paddle, over the last 18 months, we've been through kind of a transformative journey. We acquired Profitwell, who had their own portfolio of products, and brought them into Paddle. And each of our products offers something unique, but they're also all complementary to each other. And so really, one of the things that we have to think about is, like, what does that story look like? And so I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of kind of what this looks like for us. So at Paddle, we started with one company, or with one product. Our product happened to be also the name of our company. It was Paddle. That would have been our billing and payments product. We've since redone this, by the way. We now have Paddle Billing, which is our payments subscription solution product. Handles a lot of things. It essentially taking care of all the things that slow down operations. That's essentially what this product does at its highest level, end-to-end payment solution. But when we were working with companies, we realized we were solving part of that picture, because we had companies that were also looking to understand growth strategies and growth levers. So we needed to figure out, are we going to build that, or are we going to find someone that does that? And that's where Profitwell came into play. So at Profitwell, we have our Profitwell Metrics product. Many of you out there maybe use our Metrics product, but it's a really good way to understand growth within your company. We've got our Retain product, which is our churn management tool, reduce churn automatically. And then we've got our Price Intelligently solution, which is really our packaged pricing and monetization experts that will really help you optimize against the goals of your business. And so with that, we sort of went from that one single product scenario to operating and growing as an integrated solution. So I want to go over some key takeaways real quick, and then we're done. Expansion revenue, one of the most effective ways to grow. Don't discount that. Establish your team structures early to determine how each product is going to be resourced. Have a clear understanding of your ICP across products and know where the overlaps are. This is where PMM can actually and will serve you well. And as a multi-product company, your story needs to be able to support the strategy clear enough so that everybody can understand it, from the newest person in your business to anybody else. And I think with that, that's what I have. A little bit late. Thanks, everyone.